Hi, this is Nancy Reynolds, Stampin' with Nutsy, and I want to thank you so much for joining us for the online retreat for World Card Making Day. I'm using the Magical Meadow stamp set, but my first project isn't a greeting card. It is a 3D project, so let me show you what it is. Here we are. It's a cute little matchbox. And look what it has in it. What any matchbox should have: Hershey nuggets, all wrapped up in pretty paper. I'm going to tell you a little secret about me, that as long as the Hershey nuggets are wrapped up in the pretty paper, they are safe from me. However, the bag that is not wrapped up in pretty paper yet is not safe. I may have to buy another bag before the Zoom call. But this is a really fun little treat box to make, not too hard. Let me show you first the Magical Metal stamp set. There are so many lovely stamps and dies, and the Designer Series paper in the Winter Meadow Suite is just gorgeous. We are going to be using this one today, and here are the colors that go with it. Basic Black, Blueberry Bushel, which stands out to me, and that is the one we're going to use. Garden Green, Lost Lagoon, Misty Moonlight, Moody Maw, Pebbled Path, Pretty Peacock, Shaded Spruce, and Smoky Slate. It just makes a wonderful suite with great products. And it comes with the Great Snowflake Magic. Just lovely shiny paper. You can't tell from this how beautifully it shines, but you can see a little bit over here. But it is just lovely. I'm going to not use too much from the Magical Meadow stamp set and die bundle. I'm going to use the Sentiment Winter Wishes with Blueberry Bushel ink. I have two dies from the set. This lovely bush. It's a blueberry bush. It's got 11 little blueberries, and this is going to cut out those cute little blueberries. I'm so excited. And here is from the Tailored Tags. It's the second smallest. What is life without a little bit of Wink of Stella? That will also feature in our creations. Here are our Hershey Nuggets, which will be wrapped in pretty paper, therefore they will be safe very soon. We're going to use some Tombow multi-purpose glue and some tear and tape. And let me show you what we're doing with, the ribbon. Also in this suite, it's the silver and white ribbon, and it is beautiful. It's also very fun to work with. Normally I have a piece of ribbon wrapped around it to hold this in place, but today I just was quick and I grabbed a little clip to hold that together. So here's what I'm going to suggest you do, and it's a tip. Whenever you're doing a box, a 3D project of some kind, a fancy fun fold that you want to remember and be able to do again, I suggest you make a template. And this template is 5 1/4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. And because it's made to fit the Hershey Nuggets, I did a straight conversion to metric. So that's 11.4 by 13.3 centimeters. We're going to take, and so on my template, I marked my score lines, 5 1/8 inch or 1 1/4 inch, which is 1.6 or 3.2 centimeters, and it's on all four sides. And I'm showing you this on the white because it's so much easier to see than on the Blueberry Bushel. I have X'd out my little corners. Now we need tabs, so we're leaving one space for a tab on each side, and I'm going to miter those in, and I will show you that all on the Blueberry Bushel. Here we are. Here is our Blueberry Bushel box. Again, 4.5 by 5.25, 11.4 by 13.3 centimeters, scored at 5/8 inch and 1/4 inch on all sides, or 1.6 and 3.2 centimeters. We're going to need a cover for that. And I have a piece of the designer series paper, which has the little blueberries on it. Isn't that pretty? I really love this paper. It's 2 3/4 by 6 inches, or 6.9 by 15.2 centimeters. And there really is no need to score this. I do have some scoring directions, but I don't use them. And I'm going to show you, that's my second tip, show you how I do it when we make the box. To make our Hershey Nuggets safe from consumption by me, we're going to wrap these little wrappers. These are, I've cut 4 of them. They're 1 inch by 3 inch, or 2.5 by 7.6 centimeters. So we have our candy wrappers. And we're going to need, our sentiment is going to be on basic white. We will cut our branch, our decorative branch, out of the garden green with blueberry bushel blueberries. And that's where the Wink of Stella comes in. We're going to color those with a little Wink of Stella to make them pop. I don't know, can you tell these have Wink of Stella on them? Let's see. I can't really tell in here. Now my greeting was from Go To Greetings. I made a little thank you on this one. But we are going to use the best wishes from the set, from the bundle. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? You're going to need snips. So here's our box. Score lines make for bulk. So I find that I prefer to cut the score lines out. So I cut on the, just to keep it from being just too bulky. And I will cut this one. And you might have noticed that I made just a little, let me trim that up. I made a little mess. When I cut this, I like to make a little miter. Number 1, to get the score lines removed. And it just fits together nicer for our tabs. So here we go. There's one side cutting on, removing the score line. We'll remove the score line here. And then we're just going to do this on all 4 sides. And then we will put the box together. Take a little miter. And a little miter here. I don't think I got quite to the score line on this side. Make sure I get that removed. Oh. This one just doesn't want to cooperate with me. There, that got it. Now it really doesn't matter a lot, because you see I cut that score line on the wrong side. I tend to do that. All you need is to make sure you have 4 tabs. And if they go in the opposite directions, it is okay. I will cut this one the same way I cut the other. So there's really no mistake in card making. It's just an opportunity to be creative. And you'll see how it will work with both of those, all 4 of the tabs, no matter which way I cut them. Let's cut that score line off and miter up to it. I have made several of these lately and have not had this problem with the score line, with the tabs. They've all matched. So this is special. Okay, here we are. And this one is going to also go, so we'll have 3 going one way and 1 going the other. Do you guys do things like that? I'd like to think that I am not the only one who does things like that. Okay, we've got 4 tabs, score lines removed. Let me take and get this out of the way. And then with any box or 3D item, you're going to want to burnish those. You see this, I left a little bit of a fuzzy end right there. Let's just take that fuzzy end and remove it. So all the score lines need to be burnished. There we are. As you can see how it's going to fold in, and then this will fold over and hold it in. I think that you probably don't have to have a lot of glue to make this work, but I do like to have some glue to hold it in place. So I am going to grab my glue dots, and this is a brand new box of glue dots. I'm trying to keep them in the box. Normally I don't like to, but I'm afraid that my cat thinks that these are for munching, and she runs off with them, and I have glue dots everywhere. So let's just put these, this will fold, well, the ones on the sides that are going to fold in, whichever way they go. So we're going to fold this up, square it up, and this will hold that in very nicely together. There's a little cat hair on that one. Now, this is going to fold in, and that's where I like to put a little tear and tape, because I don't like my boxes to fall apart. I do believe there's 1 and 2. Put this one on this side. Partly because I pull them out by the edge instead of pushing them from the other side. So I need them to be sturdy and to stay in shape. Burnish down your tear and tape. Remove the backing. Oh, you probably can't see me removing the backing. Well, let me just fold the wrong direction. On the Take Your Pick tool, I don't know if you noticed, but we had some additions to it. And this is the thinner pokey part of the additional set. And I am so glad I got it, because I like the smaller. Fold your edge in, and then you can put your tear and tape onto the longer sides. Here we are, folding it down the opposite way. And this is really all it takes to make your box. A little burnish. Remove the tape, the backing. And your matchbox is ready to go. Now, you do need a cover, and so that's where our 2 3/4 by 6 inch or 6.9 by 15.2 piece of designer series paper comes in. I did try to make this with just designer series paper, and I used designer series paper for the bottom, and it was not sturdy enough. So this is going to cover over. See how it's going to fold. I am going to take this edge, the first edge, even it out, hold it in place, and give it a little crimp right here in this quarter. And then where that mark is, I'm just going to turn this over, making sure my sides are even, and burnish it. So there's our first score line. The second, much like it, is you just take and fold this over, and then you want to fold up. Again, make sure your sides are even because you want this to go on square. There's two. This is just as easy as trying to score it, I think. The third one, as you can see, now you want to make sure it's not too tight. So on that third one, I might just make sure that it's not quite as tight as I think it was. Just back off that score line just a little bit that you made. And last but not least, unless of course you don't want people to get to their candy, then you could make it really tight. The edges are even. Got a little bit off right there. Here we go. And so here is our cover for our matchbox. I think that will go just fine. Again, because it's going to be handled and it's going to come on and off, I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape on this edge because I want it doubly secure. And then I'm going to put it on, so this is going to fold over, so I'm going to put it right here. Just like to keep everything secured. And I find with 3D projects that tear and tape is easy to use. Do this, a little burnish, take off the backing. Put it over your box. This one has the tape on the outside, and this on the inside. And I haven't rubbed it down yet,
haven't burnished it, but it's going to come in and out very well. So let's just go ahead and give it a little burnish. As a matter of fact, I'll take it off, give it a little side swipe, and here we are. We have our box. Let's decorate our chocolate and get our chocolate in, because that gives us a little more stability when we're decorating. Sometimes I use a glue dot, and sometimes I use just a little bit of tear and tape. And I think I'm going to use a little tear and tape today. Here we go. Some people are so good about wearing this on their wrist and then being able to cut. Let's see. I find that awkward. This way? I don't know. I don't find that comfortable. But if you can do that, I think more power to you. So my little strips are 1 by 3 inches or 2.5 by 7.6 centimeters. That's a little bit large, so let's trim it off. I'm stuck to the tear and tape. Help. There. Cut that piece off. And one more little piece. You can burnish with your fingernail instead of using your bone folder if you'd like. I tend to do both. So once we've got the building done and the filling, we get to decorate. And I thought we would do that together. I've got my little mini cut and emboss right here on my desk, and I wanted to show you a little tip I have about the sandwich. Here we are. So wrap it around. Line it up. There's one done. Now, why I don't undo these if I really need chocolate, I don't know. Finish that down. Something about decorating it just makes me enjoy it. In fact, I had one that was several months old on my shelf with the chocolate intact, and I gave it as a gift to a friend. And I had been without chocolate in the house, so there we are. We are decorated. We'll give this just a little more bulk. And stability. There we are. So one of the things I want to do is I'm going to take, and I think we might be able to do all the die cutting at one time. So my little blueberries will come out of the blueberry bushel paper. There we are. My branch out of the garden green. And I will be stamping my sentiment
And I'm going to put it a little bit more to the right because I want to be able to tuck it under the ribbon. And I needed to use a little bit larger, tag for this sentiment. I'm going to put that over there so that I don't put my finger in it. That's all the stamping we're doing. So let's get that out of the way and bring in the mini cut and emboss. So here's what I'm doing. Come to think of it, we may not be able to get it all at once. Just put this at a little angle. I like to use the number 3 plate instead of the number 1 plate. It's still thick enough for the sandwich to cut well, but it isn't so thick that it doesn't go through easily. So a number 3, a number 2, and you always want to use your cut into the number 2 plate, and you turn it over every once in a while or often. See how much we can cut here. Oh, wrong way. Here we are, Winter Wishes. And I want that to stay in place. So let me take just a little bit of washi tape. You can use, this is just old washi tape that I have sitting around. You can use a Post-it note. My better plate that I haven't cut into very much is on the top. And then in a little while, when the bottom one is really, really, really bad, I will remove it and use the top plate for the bottom and put a new top plate on. So here we go. And I do reuse my washi tape until there's no more stick left. There's our sentiment. I might be able to get a sentiment like just around here. So I'm going to keep that for my scraps. This cuts out all these little tiny circles that we're going to add to our card. So I want to not lose my circles. There are 11 of them. This one doesn't have any circles on it. And we'll just gently scoot these out. Little bitty fussy things are not always my favorite, but because these are so cute and just perfect on our branch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there should be one more. We might have to run that through again if I missed that one. So we'll keep our options open. Branch. It could have fallen on the floor. Here we are. And that's all the die cutting we're doing. Put this up here. And this is it's got a lot of little angles to it. Looks like it didn't cut all the way through right there. And that's the first time that has happened on this for me. So let's put this back in. line this back up. And it kind of fits back in that same spot it was in. And try this once more. And I'm going to do this backwards. I'm going to cut up this time because the most pressure on your die cutting machine is up. So I'll put my cutting plate right here, and we'll just move it back towards us just to make sure and see what we've got. We are well cut out now. There. If you ever get stuck with the take your pick tool, if you have just a little bit that needs to be cut out, you can always use the blade attachment. Which I was going to show you, but doesn't seem to be, oh, there it is. And that's the spatula. You can take the putty end off and put your hobby blade on. So you can cut if there's just a little bit of straight cut that needs to be done. I think that was just a really good addition. Next, I'm going to take my branch, my blueberry branch, and I'm going to dab just a little. That's a bit much. That one goes there. If you put everything on your silicone mat, and while I am not going to wait for those to dry, this is like making your own glue dot. If it dries, it's just fine because this is going to be like glue dots. You know that our Tombow glue jar is just a little bit sticky. So once it's clear, it's dry and sticky, so you can still glue things on. But I am going to go ahead and do this. There's one blueberry and two blueberries. And whatever dries on your silicone mat cleans off really well. That blueberry was upside down. As was that one. They've got that lovely little hole in them where it's cut. And so they're pretty easy to pick up and put in place. And the good news is the Tombow dries, so if you get like that one has just a little bit too much glue on it. Let's get that. Have an escapee. Back you go. It will dry clear. As you can see, these are starting to dry right now. So they're like little bitty glue dots once it's dried. This one here. And since I'm short one, I need it to be turned over. Turn this one over so that it's on the correct side. And while our last little glue dot there dries, let's go ahead and cut just a little bit more. I'm going to grab my blueberry bushel scraps. Because this is a very small die. It doesn't take a lot. And we'll cut another one since I lost one. On number 3, the 2 to cut into, my die, paper and die, the 2 that's kind of clean. Well, it may not be clean, but it's not all scratched up. And here we have more dots. One here. What I do with these, when I have die cuts left over, is I take and put them in a clear little plastic bag in my stamp set, because I keep my stamps and dies together. So here are my dies. And here's my clear little plastic. Oh, look, I had a little blue one in there. I should have checked. With my things that I have already cut out or stamped, so that it's there. When I get in a predicament, I can find them if I remember that I have them. Did that make sense? Okay, let's get this out of the way again. Here we are with our glue still right there. We'll just take this one and put it on. Isn't that cute? And I used the other die for this one in the set. That would be, let's see, this die. But I decided I like this one with all of the detail on the leaf. Okay. We'll just get that extra one out. Move these together in a pile and see what we can do. And I am happy with it hanging over. I think that looks pretty. It's not going in an envelope or try to be mailed. So what I'm going to do, this would have been a perfect time to use your adhesive sheets, but I did not. So let's bring the silicone mat back in and dot just a little bit of Tombow glue around. And those berries make a great place to put the glue. And being impatient, we're not going to wait for it to dry. We're just going to try not to make a mess. And here we are. Just give it a little tap. I might leave that one up. No, we're going to give it a little tap. Our sentiment is going to go over the top of it this time. And it also is going to hang off the side. But let's do our Wink of Stella first, because it will be easier to color our blueberries and make them sparkly with the Wink of Stella before we do anything more on the card. Okay, there we are. Now for the ribbon, and I'm going to tell you that I am not the best ribbon tyer in the world, and I waste a little bit of ribbon because the longer it is my fingers, it makes it easier for me to tie. And so I'm going to move this down a little bit I'll try not to catch that little branch in. Okay, let's see what we can do here. And once this ribbon is on, it really does not have to be taken off. Because it's going to slide on and off with the cover for our matchstick. Hold that there. See if I can get this tied. I think it has to do with the arthritis on the fingers. And I think it's just fine that that hangs off a little bit. Let's even up that edge. Even up that one a little bit. It just makes such a pretty bow. I love this. And then we're just going to tuck our sentiment in. Probably hold it down with a glue dot. And if the bow looks like it's not going to stay in place, and I think this one is, I don't think there's any problem at all with it. So, a little glue dot. You can, but I'll show you what you can do. Okay, there's our sentiment. Here's our bow. And we can always take another little glue dot let it curl a little bit around your pick and put it down, and now our bow is secure. So there we have project number 1, a cute little treat box full of luscious chocolate to give to your friends. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again in the next video and on the Zoom call. Until then, happy crafting!